It has been 5 months since Cream arrived to Equestria. On that day, she was found by Fluttershy. In fact, Fluttershy was just out for a walk by herself near Everfree. When she saw something on the ground, first she assumed it was an item that had been dropped or an animal. But as she was getting closer, she realized it was an animal. But when she did get closer, she saw it was a rabbit. But it was a very unusual rabbit. It didn't look like the rabbits that she was familiar with. But it was one distinguished thing that looked apart. It was the fact that she was wearing clothes. Based on the clothes that Fluttershy saw, she assumed it was a girl. She tried to wake her up, but no response. So she took her all the way back to her cottage and later summoned her friend Twilight if she had any idea. And as Twilight came over, she saw Cream, and she'd even told Fluttershy she had never heard or seen any animal like this before, and she wasn't really sure exactly what to do. And as they were talking, Cream woke up. She was really confused to see that she was now in some sort of a home, and two ponies talking. She even tried to talk to them, even though she was a bit scared, but also a bit happy to see that she wasn't alone. Fluttershy and Twilight talked to her, and they understand now what's happened. Her name was Cream the Rabbit. She was only 6 years old, and they even asked her what was the last thing she remembers before she woke up here. The last that she remembered that was she was fighting against an enemy along with her friends. And she tried to explain at least how this enemy looked like, but after they couldn't even understand what she meant, they then changed the topic to where she was from. And Cream said that she was from Mobius. But neither Twilight or Fluttershy has never heard of Mobius before. But that was then when Twilight realized is that Mobius wasn't actually on Equestria. In fact, it must have been from a different universe or something like that. And when Cream heard that, she was actually quite sad. She realized somehow she had been end up in this world after she was fighting against Dr. Eggman, her enemy along with her friends. Twilight promised that she would try her best to find a way to send Cream back. After about a week, Fluttershy and Cream went to the castle in town just to see if Twilight had made any progress. She said that she hadn't done any progress, but she had some bad news. She told Cream that she was unable to send her back because she realized after such research there are infinite worlds out there. Even at the dimensions, at the parallel universe, they would be almost impossible to figure out exactly which one she was from. And Cream realized she was now alone. Not either her friends or her mother. That means she is all alone. She started crying, realizing that not only that her mother was missing, that she couldn't even go back home. Don't cry, Cream. People try to find a way. Can't you, Twilight? But Twilight shook her head and said, I'm afraid not, Fluttershy. This is something I wish I could do more, said Twilight. But I'm sorry. Hearing those words, Cream cried a lot more. Fluttershy decided to take her home to her cottage to calm her down. And that was 5 months ago. Ever since then, Fluttershy and her friends had tried to make the best for Cream to get used to live in Equestria. That even meant that she had to live a whole new life without her mom and her friends. She would have had a very difficult time for this. But it was another issue that rose shortly afterwards. Knowing for a fact that Cream didn't have any relatives in Equestria. It was then when she was told by Twilight and Fluttershy, since she didn't have any other family members in a nearby, it was a big risk that she would end up in an orphanage. Cream didn't want to leave her friends because knowing for the potential that since that there were no orphanage in Ponyville, the closest orphanage was in Canterlot. And that means that she wouldn't have to be separated from her friends, the ones that she trusts, the ones who had made her feel home. Fluttershy really thought maybe there was something they could do. But Twilight said that there isn't much they can do. They can't even just keep her as a pet because she's a sentient being. But then, one day when Fluttershy was having breakfast with Cream at her cottage, since Twilight thought it was best for Cream to stay at her cottage, it was close to animals, which is something that helped to calm Cream down. And another thing is, since Cream was very much used to Fluttershy, but this particular morning, Fluttershy got this simple idea. That might work. What is it? Fluttershy asked Cream. It's nothing, Cream. Don't worry. But she wasn't sure if she would tell her that. But after breakfast, Fluttershy took Cream with her back to Ponyville. She took her all the way to the castle. While Spike looked after Cream, Fluttershy went to a different room to talk to Twilight. You know, Twilight, I actually thought of something. Yeah? What is it? You remember a couple of days ago when you mentioned that Cream may have to end up in an orphanage? Yeah? Well, what if that Zone Pony would adopt her? Yeah, that would save some time, but that also means that we had to find a potential parent or parents that's willing to take her in. You know? And raising a child of a different species isn't easy though, you know that? I know, but there had to be something we can do for Cream. I mean, I can't bear just being separated from her, even like this. Well, do you have any potential ponies that could have been a potential adopted parent for Cream? Well, since Lyra and Sweetie Drops got married recently, but they have their own work and I don't know. And we can almost immediately roll out Octavia and Vinyl, since they do have sometimes they travel for their business, you know. So it's not like an ideal. True. And well, there is one other potential I had in mind. Oh, who? This was the thing that she came up with. Well, how about if I became her parent? You, Fluttershy? Well, I mean, I somehow I feel like more like a parent or a big sister to Cream. She feels more comfortable to me, you know. And she feels very comfortable around the animals already at my cottage. And she's a big help. Well, it's a good idea, but it, but we don't have to tell Cream this. What? Why? I mean, if I would be potential to being, being her parent, adopted parent, how about we keep it a secret? I mean, we don't want to give her the false hope, though. When you sing like that, yeah, it makes sense. But I don't know how this works. Oh, but, yeah, but I could reach out to Celestia. I mean, Celestia might be able to, you know, maybe help me. I mean, after all, she is the ruler of this for 1,000 years, so she may have some knowledge of how this works. I mean, it worth a shot. It's worth a try at least. And Fluttershy nodded. And then Twilight wrote a scroll, and they left to went to see Spike. Spike, can you send this to Celestia for me? Yeah, sure. But then he sent it away. What's it about? Another friendship lesson? No, it was just something different, something more private. Okay. About an hour later, Spike came back to see Twilight and Fluttershy in her room. He wrote a response. Oh, thanks, Spike. Let's see, said Twilight. What did you just answer? Said Fluttershy. Well, this might be surprising, but she said there is some requirements that, well, need to be if you're being qualified as a parent. Oh? Well, like suitable home, if you have, some, there's no, suitable home, if you have good income and all that, and if you've had any other support that will help you, and so like that. Celestia set up a time for adoption agency in Canterlot next Friday. Oh, you want me to come with you? Yeah, and you know what? I'm shy I am around like this. No worries. And Celestia will tell me how to things to do. But what about Cream? Oh, no worries. I can look after her. I mean, they're close anyways. Yeah, I hope that this will go right. So on the Friday, Fluttershy arrived to the Baxter Castle with Cream. So, Spike, can you look after Cream for a while? Yeah. Is there any particular reason? Well, me and Fluttershy are going to do the candidate to deal some business, deal something. So if it's possible that you can look after her, well, yeah, don't worry, I can do that. And be a good girl, Cream. She smiled big and said, "I always be." And then Twilight and Fluttershy took the train to Canterlot. They talked a bit about this adoption. Even though Fluttershy knew it might be the only one way for her to be this. She knew that she might even be not qualified. But when they arrived, they met up first with Celestia near the station. They talked, and she told Fluttershy how things would have happened. So, it happened that they went to the adoption agency. They talked to some of the staff, and they promised to make a visit to Fluttershy's cottage within the next week to make sure that their home is qualified and safe for raising a child. And when they went back to Pulmonville after this meeting, Fluttershy was a lot more nervous than she was before. Because now that she knows that there might be a potential that she might not even be qualified. Don't worry, Fluttershy, it will go well. Are you sure? Positive. And the next week after, Well, the pony from the adoption agency did arrive to college. She looked around, took some notes, and said, and Fluttershy even asked her if she is approving her home. And while the pony said, I can't say right now, but if I had to say, it might look good for you, but it's also up to my supervisor and my boss if they would, you know, if they approve it. But in my opinion, it could potentially be that. So Fluttershy looked very much more positive. But she even asked how long she would wait to get an answer. It depends. It can take a couple of days, it can be a week or so, but more to depend on how many cases we have. Some cases are more, you know, top priority, others are on the lower case, but I will try my best, okay? Fluttershy nodded, and after that, and for the next 2 weeks, Fluttershy was so nervous and excited at the same time. She had no idea if she would have been approved. But one day, Twilight arrived alone. Fluttershy, I got a letter from the adoption agency. Wait, really? You did? Yeah. Now, Fluttershy was a lot more nervous. This document will be proving if she will be approved or rejected as a potential adopted parent. But when he opened it, Twilight read, and she looked at Fluttershy with a big smile. And she said, Is it approved? Fluttershy asked with a bit shyness, almost a stutter. Twilight just nodded. Yeah. You are approved, Twilight, Fluttershy. Really? That's great. She'll be... Yeah. So they left the cottage, went all the way to the castle, since Cream was actually to spend the night there after she was invited for a sleepover by Spike. And they were just sitting in the library. Oh, there you are. Did something happen? I assume that had been the letter you received earlier, said Spike. Yeah, Spike, that's right. So, what is it? Well, Cream, you see, a couple of weeks ago, me and Twilight, we went to an adoption agency town in Camelot. Oh? And? Well, we know for a fact that you might end up in an orphanage. And, I couldn't see that happen. So I asked Twilight for help to see if I could potentially be an adopted parent to you. And Cream got wide-eyed. Wait, really? Yeah, said Twilight. And Twilight said with a smile, Fluttershy was approved, and your adoption is official. Fluttershy smiled and even cried. And Cream, who sat on the couch, just suddenly stood up, ran up to Fluttershy, and gave her a big hug. That means, yeah, I'm your new mom. Even though it might be a little bit difficult for the Cream to get used to now to have a new mom, but Fluttershy said that she would never replace her old mom. Even though now she is now her new mom, she would try her best for that. And Fluttershy was really excited. And from that day, she was really trying her best not only to be a parent, but also a friend to Cream. Cream said that Fluttershy, or Mom, what you did was the best you could do. You are not only my new mom, but also my true friend. Oh, Cream, said Fluttershy with a smile, and from that day, they were not only friends, but also mother and a child. And this is how Fluttershy and Cream the Rabbit become true friends. The end.